Hi, welcome back to You Should Know This. I'm here to teach you children's of how life was back in the 20th century before you were born. Things did happen before you were born, and there's a lot of things you might see on social media that might depress you because you don't understand them. And if you see these memes pop up, you will understand them after my simple explanation for you. Okay? So, to start out, you may have seen this guy. This is Austin Powers movie, Gold Member. Um, the you, there's so much behind the Austin Powers movies, you kids. There's 2 dozen movies you would have to watch to understand all of the jokes in the Austin Powers franchise. So I wasn't too fond of Gold Member, but it's still fun to put this up when somebody is speaking or typing in the comment section like they failed first grade English, second grade English, and third grade English. So yeah, you might know this one. And if you hear that sound in your head, him saying that, that's normal. It's okay for you to hear that sound. Oh, that's nasty. So back in the 20th, there was a very famous movie, very inspirational, and it was about anti-bullying campaigns and things like that. It was called The Karate Kid, starring Ralph Macchio. Call it 1985ish or so. Had Elizabeth Shue in it, by the way, and fantastic movie. And Sensei John Kreese was the bad guy. He was the ultimate bad guy for the 1980s. And so he just come in and say, "Yeah, we approve of your lack of mercy." So run away. This is so if you need to, if you're on YouTube, the app, you can pause it and do a screen print and steal all of my memes. I don't care if you steal my memes. That's okay. See, now this is from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, another great movie made before you were born, immensely quotable, and that was the Brave Knight's strategy while searching for the Holy Grail was to run away, especially with Sir Robin being in the mix. So this, back in the 30s, there was a show called The Little Rascals. There was shorts made for the movies and whatnot. They'd show it between movies and things like that during the intermission, and it was a bunch of kids running around. They all had fantastic nicknames and stuff. And this is one of those kids. And there he is again, going the other way. So you got to wait 10 minutes to post the second one. This is one of the Batmans. I don't know how they photoshopped this in, but I think this was the Michael Keaton Batman, the only proper Batman since Adam West. All the other ones are fake. Again, back to Monty Python. This was, I'm not sure what this is about. So, uh, yeah, there's another Monty Python little clip that somebody made into a meme. Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. This is the he would come on the show. There was this funny show back in the 80s called Saturday Night Live. Very funny. And back then, and they had just a moment in between there. Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. Why do you drive on a parkway and park on a driveway? I might explain that later. I got 100 memes to get through. We're gonna have time. Oh, the good old days when Saturday Night Live was funny. Okay, back in the 20th, there was a show called The A Team. I've seen the Liam Neeson version. It's okay. It's one of the good remakes. Unlike Ghostbusters, it was a good remake. This is from the original, and that was the guy that Liam Neeson played in his remake. The original was good. You know, they were fugitives fighting for justice. The Equalizer was on at the same time, and I think there was the Incredible Hulk also followed a similar path, just beneath the law, saving people from criminals that they accidentally got. Yeah, it was cool. And the montage for A Team was phenomenal. Okay, there was this guy called Michael Moore. You might have heard of him. Big ugly fat guy. I mean, he was pretty ugly. And then there was Jabba the Hutt, and he's pretty ugly too. And they they did a little bit of tweaking with Photoshop to make them go together. Um, not a lot of work went into that. So some of you might know of Hank Hill. He played pretty deep into the 2000s. So you might have heard him when you was a kid. I tell you what. So if you're from around that Texas, you know that that's not a comedy; it's a documentary. And, and I knew quite a few Hank Hills growing up, and Boomhauers. Tell you what, and Dilbert, amazing creator. Just if you've been in the office for more than 20 minutes in your life, Dilbert is one of the funniest things you'll ever read. This is an archaeological joke. Back around 1980, there was a movie called Stripes. Freaking hilarious. A lot of stars that you would recognize today, John Candy and stuff like that. And this is a joke from that, but you can throw it at your friend to tell him to lighten up. Especially if he's like over 25, he'll get the joke. Children won't get it, you know, adults will get it. Lord Hammerstein, let me put on my good hair. Love that. That's just funny. I have not used Angelsoft Professional Series. I don't have that skill level. I don't know how you apply to that and get to that level. But maybe one of you could comment down below how I could get there. Yeah, yeah. That's self-explanatory. Work. I don't know if this is what CGI. What do they call them? Sorry, I needed a sip of root beer. Back in the olden days, it was called CGI, computer graphic in something. Now it's just AI slop is what we call it. I'm working on an AI video. I'm thinking about doing some AI slop videos to see if I can go virus. Oh, this is a good one. So back in the 20th, we had this stuff called country music. It was not this weird rap stuff with a steel guitar that is playing on country radio today. This I don't know what that crap is. I've tried and tried. There's like two country songs in the last 20 years that are worth listening to. Now, back in the 80s, there was this show called The Dukes of Hazzard. I've seen the Johnny Knoxville movie; it was okay, but we had this show called The Dukes of Hazzard. They were also flying below the law and taking down corruption and things like that. And the two stars got into contract negotiation stalemate, and they were replaced for a season or so with just these two weren't bad actors, but they were so much less than what we were used to that they kind of ruined their career. I don't know if they ever played anything after that. I'd have to look at that. Yeah, you got Rickrolled. You're welcome. Okay, here's a gun-free zone joke. Most bad things happen in a gun-free zone. Yeah, it's a soft target. Some folks call it. Don't try to avoid gun-free zones. Just yeah, it's that simple. Avoid gun-free zones. Yep. You got internet and computers and electricity and yeah, I mean, badmouth America all you want, but when you hear the term human rights violation, that's a constitutional violation. America was the country that proved you could live and prosper in a country of freedom, you know, free elections, no cruel and unusual punishment, things like that. So when you hear human rights violations, just think to yourself, they are violating the U.S. Constitution. That's what a human rights violation is. Yeah, England. How many stabbings were there in London this year? And they've gotten a little too weird with gangs doing things in London that they shouldn't be doing, and people who are not there legally and not contributing to society. They are employing police and judges and magistrates, and the prison industrial complex is probably having a field day in England right now with the not here legally people. causing all the trouble. Yes, once again, American freedom angers people. Let's see, who else we got? This is just a joke that somebody drew up. I don't know. It's gonna bother somebody. Hurt a little feel bad. If you're a Karen and you're flipping out over this, turn off your computer. Your social media has made you depressed. You need to turn off the computer, log off for a little bit, take a detox. You college kids don't know what you're missing. There was a movie called Animal House, 1978, I believe. I'm not sure about the exact year it was. One of the funniest movies about college life ever filmed. It's called Animal House. Most of the jokes are still relevant. Some of them are offensive at this point, but Animal House. I hope they don't remake that. Oh, it's going to be horrible if they do. They're probably working on it because they're out of ideas. Yeah, and this is how I would feel as soon as it debuted, or as soon as I heard of it. Also, back in the 1980s, there was a movie called Scarface about a Latinx. Is it Latinx? Uh, what's the word that is so hyper offensive? The Latinos hate it. It's Latinx. Is that how you say it? Latinx, Latinx. So there was a Latino guy in this movie who took over Miami, I believe, and he had a very strong accent, and he would always say, "That's beautiful, March." And 31, the 31st. Back to Dukes of Hazzard. This was the corrupt bad guy on the show, Boss Hogg. So like a boss, his name was Boss Hogg. Now the guy that played him was an absolute genius and spoke like 8 languages, but he played a corrupt redneck mayor so well. Oh man, those were good shows back then. Okay, some of y'all might know this because it's still famous. This was also made before you were born, you kids. This was from a commercial, but it's fun to post it on parody pages and things like that. Or when somebody throws up rage bait and you know they're doing it just for clicks, you can throw this on there and call them dirtbags. Or this. This is fun to make fun of people. Also fun to make fun of people with. That boy ain't right, I tell you what. This was The Big Lebowski. Most of you children don't know the movie. It was made before you were born. It was okay. People quote it a lot, but it was just okay. Some of you don't even deserve this. This is a movie made during the back in the 80s. There was a fad of making Vietnam movies, and they all actually mentioned the Tet Offensive. That's the only time there's a whole bunch of Vietnam movies made in like 3 years, and they were all about the Tet Offensive. This is Vincent D'Onofrio. You'll know him from the Men in Black franchise. He was young and gained a lot of weight to play this role because he was like buff in the previous role. But he played Gomer Pyle, which was a derogatory nickname from a TV show from the 60s. Wow, there's so much you kids don't know. This is from the first Star Wars, I believe, because they had an older code that checked out. Back to that gun-free zone joke. This is what happened on Alderaan when they were destroyed by a bully. Storage Wars, not Storage Wars. Storage Wars they played the same game on Storage Wars. Oh, we're gonna go see an expert about this thing that just happened, who just happens to be in town. Yeah, I, after the fourth or fifth, let me get an expert. The guy I hang out with, he just doesn't hang out with, and never have the same guy 3 times on there. This one is a little out of line, actually. A lot of the veterans and actual war veterans I've talked to, Like, yeah, I fought for the freedom for that guy to express himself. So a lot of y'all don't know why Rob Lowe did not make any movies in the late '80s or TV shows in the late '80s. He was really big in the early '80s, and then he got his resurgence with Wayne's World in like 1991 because there was some stuff I'm not going to talk about on YouTube. I don't think his name is in the files, but that'll give you an idea of where that went. There's one of the greatest baseball movies ever made was called Major League, and there was a Cuban, I believe, who worshipped a little god named Jobu, and that's what Jobu looks like when he's happy. Funny movie, even though it's got Charlie Sheen in it, it's still a hilarious movie. And it's even funnier if you fast forward past Rene Russo's parts. She kind of drags the movie down. She doesn't need to be there, but she's there, so you have to watch it with her. But after that, you can fast forward through her parts. It's Al Sharpton. Didn't matter what it was. He made it racist. It's how he made his money. It's like a car salesman. A used car salesman is going to sell a used car. Okay, he's going to lie about that used car and sell it. Al Sharpton, he made money. Don't ask about the record store if you look into Al Sharpton. That gets ugly. Shenanigans have been called, or is it shenanigans has been called? Can you have a single shenanigan? Don't know. I don't know if they are always plural or not. Okay, there's another old movie that you kids don't understand. It's about the golfing, and this is Judge Schmelz, and he's tired of somebody waiting or taking their time. And you can use this quite a bit in life because there's a lot of dirtbags in society that don't know that people behind them are waiting. That could be in the grocery store line. That could be on the freeway. That could be the guy crawling up the on ramp. Yeah, it is frustrating waiting for someone who's just off in their own little world. So, social media is made to depress you if you log off. It kind of depresses you as you use it, which makes it even weirder. And some of the stuff that the algorithm pushes to you is to push you down that path. So if you kind of look into it and the way the social media works and everything, you'll want to log off more often, go outside. I know the gameplay sucks, but the graphics are awesome. Okay, back in the olden days, back before LeBron James started blaming his coworkers for any failures and making up why he was the greatest of all time, there was a guy named Michael Jordan. He was. I've, I don't want to bother arguing with LeBron James fans anymore. They don't know what they're talking about. They did not witness the greatness that was Jordan. He was a highlight reel all to himself every game. You can uh, use this when this is fun because you see some weird stuff on social media. I finally dumped my social media accounts and I feel so much better. I haven't argued with a moron in months, and that's the kind of stuff that makes dubs cry. Oh yeah, for you children, for you children who believe that history started the day you were born, this man was named Prince. He was an amazing artist, very very talented. You've most likely heard his songs on the radio, most likely. Amazing artist. Hey, we're halfway through 51. Uh, you Bieber fans don't know what you're missing until you look in the past and see what amazing art actually occurred before auto tune. Uh, Yeah, Cowboys. This is a very old meme, and the Cowboys still haven't really gone into the playoffs at all. I think they replaced the coach and they replaced the quarterback and they replaced the running back that they didn't use properly, and they still suck. There's only one thing left to change. They changed the stadium, they still suck. There's only one thing. Like Jerry Jones. I saved the tortilla recipe that snuck in here. I haven't made it yet, but I wanted to save a tortilla recipe. I don't know why I put it in the memes. Is there something offensive in there? Nope. Just in general. Also in the 80s, there was a show called Beavis and Butthead. This is Beavis, the great Cornholio. He gets hyped up on the caffeines. This was before Monster. Yes, people existed before Monster. And before, what's the Red Bull? People used to get their caffeine other ways besides Monster and Red Bull. So this was he was very very funny. They're still pretty funny if you watch them today. Uh, yeah, this was another great show. Before Picard ruined a great show, this was a great show. This is the second installment of Star Trek, and it was actually really good. I watched I don't know if I watched the whole series, but I watched quite a few of the episodes. Yeah, it was a really good series. And then they started just milking that cash cow for all it was worth, and now it's trash. Hey, along those same lines, there was a show called Star Wars. It was amazing. It made early 80s, three movies. It was beautiful. And we spent all our time pining for our first love. And then she came back fat, bloated, 16 kids from 17 different guys wanting our money. And that's just, oh, it was bad. The stuff made before 1985, glorious. There's only one turd in there. If you know that, you can comment that down below. This is from The Simpsons. You know, The Simpsons recreated 30 years before you were born. This was a cowboy who watched the Cowboys. They were good for like 3 weeks for there, for a little bit, and then yeah. I don't know how they filmed this in a movie studio. I don't see any movie studios on the moon. I don't know what's going on. So this is a shot at the metric system. I have decided that the metric system is for people who are bad at math, and fractions. I know fractions are hard. Fractions are hard, but the metric people, wow, you just want it handed to you. There's that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. The whole of Europe is 21 degrees. That's nice. Yeah, I don't know how you pull that off. Here in America, we have 76 and 77 degrees, and we know the difference. Show me a decameter. DECA. Yeah, I can show you a foot. I can show you an inch. I can show you a yard. Bam, right there in front of you. Carry it around with decameter. I don't know what the hell that is. Back before you were born, back before DEI ruined everything, back Mindy Kaling, I guess her name was, or something like that. There was this fantastic show called Scooby Doo. Ran for quite a few seasons. It was glorious. It was fun. It was an adventure. It was funny. And then they gutted the golden goose. It's from Dodgeball. Some of you may recognize this. I don't know if you do or not. Of course, you don't understand the joke behind this of 50s, 40s, 50s, and 60s educational videos. You might be able to find some here on YouTube. The more you know. A lot of kids can hear this. This was played like during cartoon series and things like that. Saturday morning cartoons and stuff. Hey, if you If you don't break the law, you don't go to jail. Do, 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 the more you know. I know, it sounds crazy. This was probably made before you were born, too. It was called Waterboy. And that was one of the greatest football players of all time there on the right, Lawrence Taylor. Amazing guy. He had an issue with crack for a while. Amazing football player, though. This, again, back to Monty Python and the Holy Grail. They had idiots trying to burn a witch, trying to make up a woman to be a witch. It was very funny. Even if though she turned someone into a neat, he got better. He still wanted to burn her though. I don't know what the deal was. So back in the olden days, the military knew it was a good thing to intimidate your opponent, to scare them. If you walk in with a scary reputation, that's half the battle. A lot of things are half the battle. But if you walk in with a scary reputation, you've you, they will turn tail and run a lot easier, and you don't have to kill them. So these guys had heard about the American Indians of the Northeast. There was the Mohawk tribe and things like that, and they had their head shaved interestingly, and they had war paint on, which made their faces look a little scarier. Just like what do you call it? The haka. Is it called the haka? The New Zealand haka thing. It's a similar concept. You scare them to scare them, and it just makes your job easier. This was considered at the time an enjoyable movie. There weren't a lot of movies out at the time. It's called Kickboxer. No, it was Bloodsport. The sequel was Kickboxer. Kickboxer was much better than Bloodsport. This was a movie of slow mo facial expressions. It was kind of interesting though. Goofy as all get out, made up by a madman who was. I've heard some people blow themselves up with just pride. The guy that invented this, that Frank Dukes, makes Steven Seagal look humble. I'm telling you. And I don't know what this is from, but somebody does eventually have to start the slow clap. See, this is Jobu when he's happy. Oh, much longer, much, many years before you were born, before 9/11, there was this movie about a angry uh, colonel. Yeah, I think it was a colonel uh, on down in Guantanamo Bay at the Marine base, and there was a death, and there a whole is another anti-bullying show. It was fantastic, and this was from one of the scenes. It's a very good movie. It's called A Few Good Men. For you children who haven't seen it, that us adults have seen it. You kids may have seen Zoolander. This one's just fun to throw up occasionally. That is Vladimir Putin. This picture's probably from 20 years ago. I don't know how he's not aging. That's disturbing, confusing. Some things in life are impossible. Oh, another great movie from the 80s. This was called Big Trouble in Little China. It's a kung fu adventure movie. Most of the jokes are still hilarious. But uh, only the adults remember this movie. In the early '90s, there was a movie called Tombstone. You may have seen it. This is Val Kilmer. This is probably one of his most iconic roles, and he played Doc Holliday very well. There were two movies came out about Tombstone that year, and this is the one that was the most famous. The other one was full of famous people, but this one just rocked it out. Made it was less historically accurate, but much more enjoyable. This is I don't know the original, but I think this is from that Kung Pao Enter the Fist, which was also a hilarious movie. You might need to see that. You may recognize SpongeBob here. That's an enjoyable one to throw on social media. Um, this was from Shaun of the Dead. You might recognize it. A funny love story zombie movie. So this is you kids might not be allowed to watch this movie. This is a very offensive movie. It would hurt a lot of alphabet people's delicate little feel bads. It's called Silence of the Lambs. It's about a serial killer. Um, it was an enjoyable movie. It won a lot of Oscars. But the Oscars let you talk about this movie at this point because it hurts the alphabet people, makes them look bad. Don't know. That's an interesting point. It did win a lot of Oscars because the other movies it was up against kind of sucked. It was the only good movie that year. Uh, and this is what it's like being on social media for more than a few hours. You're arguing with idiots. But if you log off of social media, walk around, see the sunrise, things look completely different. You kids don't know this one. There was a show called Andy Griffith Show back in the 50s, 60s, and the taller guy there was the idiot named Gomer Pyle, who I referenced earlier, and that's Barney Fife next to him. Um, and for decades, you would joke with a cop or make fun of him by calling him Barney Fife. There was a okay movie back in the 80s, uh, full of offensive jokes about an Australian adventurer who also overly inflated his ego, called Crocodile Dundee. It was enjoyable. Um, I still recommend it. It's a funny movie. And of course, since he's Australian, he says nice. Some of you need to learn this. This is, I don't know why I saved it in my memes folder, but it tells you who your second cousin once removed is. And I'm going to use this later when I start talking about biblical laws and Old Testament laws and things like that, because you're not supposed to date pretty much the left half. Roll Tide. Also from Major League, this is another joke from Major League. That is Bob Uecker, one of the funniest men ever. He played the baseball announcer for this show. Oh man, it was funny. This is from Futurama, also. Just a fun meme to have. Back in the 70s, there was a TV show about a German prison camp called Hogan's Heroes. And this was one of the characters, and they'd start asking him German secrets, and he'd say, "I know nothing, nothing." That was Sergeant Schultz right there. It's a pretty funny show. Also in the 60s, there was a show called The Beverly Hillbillies. Much better than the bad remake that they made a while back. This was one of the guys, and you just don't know what you're looking at sometimes on Facebook. Uh, I don't know who would eat a pizza black olives only. Hey, get some pepperoni on that. Pepperoni and olives is really good in case you ever don't know what to do. I prefer pepperoni and green olives myself, though. This is from the remake. See, because nobody has an original idea. Once your original ideas start getting copied, and the shows you grew up with start getting copied, you'll realize how stupid remakes are. People making remakes need to be ignored. That's the best thing we can give to them, is to ignore them. That's what they deserve. They can't come up with an original idea. They need to just go away. Yeah, it's called Carrie, but this is the remake. This is a interesting little. Yeah, send military age men, and if their countries are dangerous, why are their families still there? It's confusing. Yogi Berra was a baseball manager, and he would mess up phrases And if you get bored, Google Yogi Berra quotes. It ain't over till it's over. It's just the number of funny quotes he had are just astonishing, and they all are relevant. This joke is will get you thrown in jail for 20 years, so don't do it. But there's a lot of clickbait out there that looks like this. Uh, I don't know what city this is. If somebody could tell me, I'd give them credit. That's neat. Uh, yes, Washington did cross the frozen Delaware on Christmas to shoot the Hessians. It was one of the pivotal moments of the Revolutionary War, and it was 70. Was it 1776? Christmas 1776? I think it was. No, it might have been 77. Anyway, um, this was Queen Elizabeth talking about the colonies because America, Canada. Of course, wait a minute. Canada, Australia, New Zealand are still colonies, right? I think they are. Poor kids. Hope they're not being treated like London with the gangs running around doing things they're doing. It's Jack Nicholson. I think it's from the Stephen King movie. I can't remember. Yeah, if you're colorblind, you won't get this. But yeah, the government does have quite a bit to do with economic collapses, and if you haven't noticed that, your economics teacher was is not teaching you correctly, or your history teacher. I'm wore out, and this was an Olympic moment. I think she was her nose itched, or I can't remember. It's just one of the funny memes that came out. So I'm exhausted. I just got off work and decided to make you kids the show. Like, share, and subscribe.